Hello, today for review I got yet another model from KZ and probably you can easily see by this box it's ZS10 Pro. You know, KZ passed a really long way, so they started from the models that sounded average or even below average, but at least cheap. Then they've developed their lineup to include better sounding models. I reviewed a lot of KZ models in the past, and KZ Not Pro version, for example, was pretty nice. I didn't like AS10 as much as ZS10, but anyway, it was also okay. BA10 model was pretty unusual for me, and I didn't understand their approach to the sound. But starting from the end of previous year, they've really managed to surprise me a few times, releasing one good model after another. For example, ZS10, ZS10 Pro, and ZS10 Pro is also pretty good. It's still 5-driver hybrid with single dynamic driver and 4 balanced armatures. Price is also remain unchanged, about $43–44, depending on which version you want, with microphone or without. I will put links in the description, and now let's have a closer look. Package is traditional, it's a typical KZ style matchbox. On the back side there are technical specifications, so for us most important are 30 ohms of impedance and 111 decibels of sensitivity, so medium impedance, medium sensitivity, it's pretty good. They can be driven without problems with smartphones or some tablets, but at the same time with more powerful dubs they won't be too noise picking. Inside everything is also organized like we've seen with some other models, ZS10 Pro themselves. Let me unpack them. Stock cable and few extra tips. So this time you will have 4 pair of tips. Accessory set isn't huge, but for the medium budget price range, I think it's pretty okay. Design also looks familiar. It's similar to recent KZ models. Metal faceplate. This time they've selected nice polished steel-like surface, looks really attractive, and also familiar acrylic case. It's semi-transparent, so you can see inside the dynamic driver and 2 balanced armature drivers, and probably some balanced armatures are located inside of the spouts because wires go there. Connectors, wire, crossover schema, so everything is visible. You can see that everything is put inside. They're using really good metal spouts, looks really sleek, and metal protective grill, so everything is built really nicely. I can say that it's a definitive improvement over last year models. Spout has small lip for holding the tips, so everything is done really good. Build quality is also on high level, at least at first look. I'd like to see how they will behave after 1 year of heavy usage, but it won't be right now. Also, I already mentioned that in previous reviews, but I really like that finally KZ started using one type of connector. They've selected a bit unusual connector with recessed pins and with sockets that stick out from case, but anyway, it's good that they've at least selected single standard option. Cable is also familiar. If you've seen some KZ model, you've seen that cable before. Let me see, is it? This one is for right earpiece, so no, this one is left, this one is right. Connectors are pretty firm, they have a good grip, holds nicely. Anyway, here is cable. There is ear hook format, no memory wire, but it's still doing its job and holding cable over your ear. Cable itself is, well, it's familiar KZ cable. Pretty soft, bit getting hard when it's cold, a bit of microphonic, but thanks to these ear hooks you won't notice that. Microphone is really basic, so don't expect great sound quality, but anyway. And it goes up. Here is plastic splitter, no chin slider, and it goes braided way down below to the angle jack. So everything is really traditional here, but once again I must admit that new designs by KZ I really like. And of course the most interesting question is the sound signature. So I burned them in for about 20 hours, but I didn't get any significant sound change, so probably they are already out of the box. They require proper tip selection, and after that you pretty set to listen to them. Let's have a player on the table to serve as examples. I think stainless steel will complement good to these polished faceplates of ZS10 Pro. So, you know, gone are the days when, probably not completely gone, but currently gone are the days when KZ created weird sound signatures and you have to select between too bassy and darkened headphones or something bright and sibilant. ZS10 Pro is pretty balanced. Of course they are V-shaped, it's expectable, but it's V-shape done normally, and mid drop off is about 10 decibels, so it's acceptable level. And let's probably move from lows to highs. So bass is impactful, it has accent, and fun thing is that main accent is done on the deepest layers of bass, while mid bass is has a bit less in terms of quantity than deeper bass. Well, it's a good news for those who prefer deep bass rumble, who prefer impactful low frequencies, and you know, acoustic instruments with low domain sounds a bit less weighty than they should be, but still pretty enjoyable. So I think, you know, for this price range actually sound is great, and I can finish review in saying that, but we need to provide more. I need to provide more details. They have a good texturing and pretty normal resolution, not superb, but actually I can say that it's good. And as an example, perfectly fitting this earphones sound signature, I will use the Daft Punk Lose Yourself to Dance. So you heard this track and you know that bass line at the beginning, and these headphones really nail it, not perfectly, but in a pretty impressive way, with enough of confidence and enough of weight. Low frequencies transition pretty nicely into mids. Of course, driver overlap is a bit noticeable, but it's not a big issue here, and they are more coherent than any previous KZ models I have tested. But bass actually is controlled well, and it's not shadowing mid frequencies, so I think it's also another good plus to add. Mids are detailed, they have normal detailization, not superb, but pretty nice, and they have a nice amount of emotions put here, pretty good mids layering, and you know, mid sounds really balanced, so no spikes, no drops, so pretty realistic. Of course, we should take price into account as always, but anyway. What else I can say about mids? Imaginary stage is even a bit above average in width and average in depth, so pretty impressive staging, and they are, you know, pretty balanced, as I've said before, in terms of weight, in terms of attacks and decays, and that's why I can use next track as an example. So as you can see, it's probably one of the best male voices ever. It's Marvin Gaye, and his track Save the Children. Usually it requires some much more expensive models to sound properly, and of course ZS10 Pro not fully nailed this track, but still they showing pretty good performance. And treble. Treble usually is one of the most problematic parts of KZ sound signature. Usually they are too sharp, but not in this case, at least to my ears. Of course, if you are treble sensitive, your impressions could be different, but for me, treble here is well balanced. It has enough accent to sound bright, crisp, nice, with normal detalization. You know, it's not superb, but it's normal. Extension is also a bit lacking because they got a noticeable drop off after 10 kHz, but that's typical tuning for the mass market in ear monitors. Almost all manufacturers prefer to make a recessed upper treble, so attacks and decays are a bit on the faster side, but still treble sounds pretty nice to me. Not something stellar, you know, usually treble is the part that I pay closest attention. Of course, they're not even close to some flagship models or even to the mid segment, but still pretty enjoyable in terms of amount and in terms of resolution. And as an example, I've got Guns N' Roses, Paradise City. I choose this track because usually Guns N' Roses have records that are a bit shy of treble, and cymbals here are moved somewhere to the background, so they are lacking a bit of amount to my ears, but thanks to the slight accent with these in-ear monitors, they have normal resolution, actually not resolution, they have normal amount, sounds pretty good and realistic. In terms of pairings, they of course need something more or less natural. Some entry-level DAB or even smartphone will be enough for them, so they don't require tons of driving power to sound properly, so in this aspect, really nice model. And speaking about conversions, let's say first of all about previous version of ZS10 Pro, and I'd say that it's a noticeable step forward, of course, because they are more detailed, less laid back, less warm, and more natural signature, at least in my perception of naturalness. And KZ-AS10, you know, I've read that many people prefer AS10 because of their more warmer signature, but to my ears I can say that the ZS10 Pro is better. It's my subjective opinion, but I prefer more treble and a bit more aggressive forward signature. So it's a matter of taste, of course, but anyway. So I won't try to recall some other models right now. If you are interested in some comparisons, please write a comment and I will be happy to do a comparison if I've heard the models that you will be asking. It would be better than if I'll try to recall some other models now. So it was KZ ZS10 Pro, good build quality and nice sound, and let's see what KZ will offer us next. Thank you for attention.